Interlagos, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace plays host to round number 7 of the Skip Barber 2K World Cup for this season. As always, we have over 24 of the world's greatest Skip Barber sim racers preparing to do battle, this time for 21 laps around this track, which has been a mainstay of the Formula 1 calendar for years and is one of the most exciting races of the season. We kick off after these messages. You're watching RaceSpotTV. It's Sunday night, and that means one thing and one thing only. It is time for another edition of Sunday Night Skippies as the Skip Barber 2K World Cup heads itself to Interlagos, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace. This is round number 7 of the championship. Now, coming into today's event, there is a look at your championship standings. Richard Avery, 220 points. Ricardo Farah moves himself up into second place in the championship. He's got 189. Vinicius Rocha is in third. He fell back by 2 points. We all remember what happened last lap of the last round of the championship. Philippe Labert is in fourth. And then rounding out your top 5 is Arjun de Verde, your top 12 there on your screen. What a wonderful look here at this magnificent racing facility. Our AO coverage today is brought to you by And1 Design, official graphics partner of RaceSpotTV. And there you can see this wonderful racetrack. It is set pretty much in a dome. The old racetrack, it used to be a lot bigger. It used to be one of the most arduous racetracks in all of Grand Prix racing, mainly because of the fact it runs anti-clockwise compared to normally where the racetracks run clockwise. And that meant that drivers would end up literally leaning against the side of their race car come the race end. Now, this track might not be as physically demanding, it's still as technically demanding as we get our first times then up on your screen for qualifying here today. But Delat sets the early pace, but where are our standard big hitters? There, you can see Philippe Labert. We look on board of him as he works himself down in towards Yunsao. This is the first of his 2 qualifying laps that he has the opportunity to do, as is the case every single time we head ourselves to this series. Well, Philippe Labert, there you can see him. Bardelat is still classified on pole. Sanchez second, Carroll third, Keeney fourth, Malokas in fifth. We did see drivers running very slowly on their outlaps. Laber's one of those drivers. Let's have a look. 150.209 to beat. No, he can't do it. He moves himself into second place for the time being. In fact, no, that'll actually be P number 4 as far as the timing and scoring shows. Carroll has moved himself, so he is in the 3rd place right now. And Jose Sanchez, you can see him. He is working himself now. Exit of turn number 4. We ride ourselves on board of him as he works himself up the hill. Noah Lampe is now up into the 3rd position. Good qualifying lap there by Noah Lampe for the time being. as well. There we can see on board with the driver of one Jose Sanchez, the Audax Motorsports car. This is the most difficult section of the racetrack. This is where, oh, you've got to be so careful. Gary Carroll is on pit road. He will not do another lap. Here's Bart the lap though. He's working himself down towards the start finish line. Can he improve on a 150.209? He comes down towards the start finish line, and the answer to that question is going to be, oh yes he does, by just a little bit. No, he doesn't actually. He's about 3/1000ths of a second slower on his second lap. He won't be happy with that. Here's Sanchez working himself up the hill now. Can Sanchez improve? Can he steal pole position away? We know next in line will be the likes of Barber and Dow. And then last, it will be Noralampi. Down they come then. Towards the start finish line is one Jose Sanchez in the Audax Motorsport car. Will he be able to improve and go to pole position? The answer to that question is going to be no. So, two drivers so far have not been able to improve on their second qualifying lap. What can Philippe Barber do as he comes towards the start finish line? He's in P number 5. Past the stripe he comes. I don't think he's done it. No, Philippe Barber also cannot go faster. Uno Lampi, he's the last one. Can he do anything? Past the start finish line he comes. He does go faster. He goes to pole position. Well, it took 4 or 5 drivers to come past the stripe, but Noah Lampi will score pole position for the time being here. David Stefani is moving himself up into P2. What a drive there by David Stefani. That is his best qualifying ever in the series. Now just got ourselves a couple of other drivers to go. You've got Adam Piercy and Francisco Esteve. Esteve is one to look out for. We go on board with him. Exit of Yunsao. Up the hill he comes. And, well, just a corner left to go. We get the sector times up on your screen. First sector, 28.069. Second sector, 53.600. Qualifying time to be is a 150.024. Nura Lampi has completely decimated the field here. Stefani in second place. And then third place will go to Francisco Esteve. And he did that right at the end of qualifying. Alan Piercy moves himself up into P number 5. So a great qualifying there also by Alan Piercy. All drivers have now done their qualifying laps with the exception of one. That driver is Jerome Hag. On board with him, 31st at the moment. Where will he end up? Qualifying lap number 1 for him. Well, it's about to start as he comes down in towards turn number 1. He, just having a look at the actual time here, he might only literally just get a qualifying lap in. There is 1 minute and 10 seconds remaining until we get ourselves to 10 past the hour. Now, qualifying starts at around the top of the hour. So for Jerome Hag, this is a race against the clock right now. Into turn 4, it is now 50 seconds. We think until about the time that qualifying should well end, he will get himself up to about 30 seconds leeway, potentially. So he may well just get the 1 lap in. But we're right then along board Jerome Hag in the number 214 car. Well, it's going to be close. It is officially 10 minutes past the hour, plus a bit of change. Look for that checkered flag on the left-hand side of the top bar. Will he make it back in time? It's going to be a slow lap, by the way. He won't really be setting the world alight, but past start-finish line, 151.616. That actually puts him 30th. So after that, Jerome Hag moves himself up 1 position, ladies and gentlemen. That is qualifying in the books. And now, let's run through your starting grid for tonight's event. Pole position goes to Lampi. Qualifying time 150.024. Dave Stefani alongside him on the front row of the grid. That is a very interesting front row. This is something we're going to have to keep an eye out on during the course of this race. Francesco Estivi is in the 3rd place on the grid. 4th place will be Bart Delat. We're going to cycle this grid through as quickly as we can. Alan Piercy, Juan Jose Sanchez, Graham Cowell, Felipe Burr, then Matt Defoe and Govan Keeney rounding out your top 10. There is your qualifying times coming up. It's a big grid. That means we've got to be quick to do this one. We've got 31 drivers we know who have set themselves a qualifying time in some way, shape or form. Last place driver is Frederick Johansson. Don't forget, of course, you will be able to see all your drivers throughout the course of this race. What you need to do is literally look for them along that sticker at the top of your screen. Well, that is what the view looks like at the front of the field. We are just a moment or so away from getting ourselves ready for the start of tonight's event. There you can see, it's a beautiful sight. 21 laps then, here at Interlagos. This race will start right now. There you can see, it's a good start there by Stefani. A good start also by your pole position driver. They will work themselves down in towards turn 1. Stefani looks though he does actually have himself the better run. Into that first corner he comes. He looks down to the inside. Not gonna be able to do anything there over Nora Lampi, but they are too wide all the way back. You can see lots of blue there. You got teammates running free abreast already. Look at that one down into the curve of the soul. You do not want to hit your teammate, and when you've got 5 drivers all for the same team separated by pretty much nothing on the racetrack, that is the risk that you could potentially have. David Stefani, Francesco Estivi going side by side in towards Bicca turn number 4 for the first time. That's not Bicca Plateau. There you can see number 58 machine is going to work himself round the outside, and he moves himself now up into 2nd position, if only for the time being. We ride on board. Look at that left rear quarter panel, and yet indeed he is now clear. So Estivi moves himself up into the 2nd place on the racetrack. Is behind. Oh, look at this one. They're going too wide already. Here we can see Felipe Burr at the back of a pack coming on right now. Juan Jose Sanchez and Govan Keeney scrapping it out for position. We ride ourselves along board with that Old Ox Motorsport driver of Juan Jose Sanchez. You can see to the left-hand side, the 229 car, Govan Keeney, up they come. And, well, slowing down to actually the slowest corner on the racetrack. And see, well, Sanchez has been able to get himself clear now of that 229 car. They are single file as they head themselves down in towards Yunsao on lap number 1. But out front, well, it's all about this guy. Lampi has pretty much led every single moment of this event since it's gone green, and he will lead lap number 1 of 21 here. It's one of the shortest laps we have all season long, down through Aquabicanakis, in towards the start-finish line. I'm not going to pronounce turn number 15 ever again, but past the start-finish line, the gap 7 tenths of a second between Lampi and Francesco Estivi, and behind David Stefani side by side as going towards turn number 1. Stefani to the inside. Stefani will get that position back there. As you have a look from the rear of Francesco Estivi, now he's got Alan Piercy for company, and Piercy is looking as though he's going to put the hurry on as they come out of the corner. Although Estivi, as we're going to try and just have a look there, you can see he's already trying to make the move back over Stefani as they work themselves down in towards turn number 4. Interlagos, and well, Estivi is now back up into 2nd, and behind you'll have yourself Piercy thinking about looking down to the outside. He loses the position whilst doing so though, and actually now Bart Delat is into 4th place. This is a driver who we expect to be right at the cutting edge. 3 wide, 2 deep, in towards Ferradura, lap number 2. Well, they survive, but they're still going on board with Sanchez once again. There you can see, you've got the 229 car. That is the driver of Govan Keeney still alongside, and oh, 4 wheels on the curb there. It's going to be Sanchez in that Old Ox Motorsports car. That is potentially going to cost him another position. Turn that camera around. You can see you got Leigh Burr right behind him on the track right now. Some great scraps going on inside of your top 10. Although Nora Lampi has pulled out now a 1.1 second advantage over Estivi Stefani. And that, of course, was all because of the fact that those 2 drivers in P number 2 and 3 have been scrapping for position. They're going to do it once again on board now with Graham Carroll, he has moved himself for the field. He is now in 3rd place on the racetrack as they head themselves down through turn number 15 towards the start finish line again. Graham Carroll is one of your biggest movers in the field so far. We'll get confirmation of this as they come past the start finish line. But Carroll up 4 places and is able to hold off the charge from Stefani into turn number 1. Oh, we got a spinner. We got 2 cars off there down in turn number 1. We saw that one from the rear of Graham Carroll. That was an interesting camera angle and a half, shall we say. We'll figure out who that one is in just one moment's time. I believe it was around the Keeney-Bartlett kind of area. As we see Catholic Pie is well down the field right now in P number 24. Let's get ourselves another look if we can then. These are the drivers coming down in towards turn number 1. We know around this area. We'll figure out exactly who the drivers are as well. You can see, I think it's a 229 car. We talked about him already in this race, and he seems to be the driver. There you can see, left-hand side of your picture, falling down the order. So that is Gavin Keeney there. And we'll just get ourselves another look if we can. I think it was a simple out-braking maneuver down in towards turn number 1 that just went a little bit wrong. So here we can see, on board now, with that number 229 car all the way down to the wall. He gets pinched. 808 machine alongside him. That is Alan Piercy, and Piercy is the one who just basically missed the corner entirely. Gavin Keeney took to the grass on the inside of the corner, was able to keep it going. However, things are still okay for the time being. With him, he runs himself in P number 4. The driver who didn't do so well out of it, well, it's that one. The 808 car, Alan Piercy, now well down in your pack. We'll get this one reflected next time they come past start finish line. Ticker running along the top of your screen, and it's been an interesting start to this race, to say the very least. To give you an update, just we'll talk about this in a moment. Last time by, Northampton lost a bit of time to Stevie as we now go on board with Alan Piercy, and we'll show as they come past start finish line. Confirmation, 8 places he's lost now since the start of this event. That is what happens when you mess up your braking down in towards turn number 1. But Laura Lampe to Francesco and Steve is now just 1 second, less than 1 second. And who's behind? Well, it's Friction Racing's Graham Carroll. And Friction Racing, of course, are one of the most well-known team in this series. Down they come into the second Lego. Lap number 4 of 21 as far as your weather goes today. There you can see, it's standard track conditions here. It's not 32 degrees Fahrenheit because otherwise it will be absolutely freezing cold. As far as pit stops go, expect a wide pit stop window between about lap number 8 and about lap number 13 here. I think you'll get 1 or 2 people coming in very early. Expect this driver, Graham Carroll, to do the complete opposite of what Nora Lampe and Stevie are doing around him. If Stevie comes in early, expect Carroll to stay out. If Stevie stays out, then expect Carroll to come in around lap number 8. It is going to be as simple as that. Behind, here you can see we've now got a bit of separation between Carroll, who is in 3rd, and Bart Delat is in 4th. The gap, well, that's 2.6 seconds, as Bart Delat has got to get himself moving now. He's got himself Keeney back in the fight already. But you can see how wide their Bart Delat run. We're going to run down in towards turn number 1. On board with Govan Keeney in the 229 machine. You hear that, don't you, ladies and gentlemen? That is what we like to call, I'm going to play mind games. Keeney does not want to get past Bart Delat right now. The reason why is they are losing time every single second. Behind, by the way, Alan Piercy trying to move back up through the field. He's got Jürgen Carntin battling with him for P number 14 at the moment. And even further back, you can see, look at this 3rd pack of drivers. They are literally scrapping it out. It's Carroll versus Stevie, side by side, in towards turn number 4. And look, they've closed that gap back up now. 3 drivers separated by 0.6 of a second on the racetrack. Carroll moves himself up into P number 2 on the racetrack. Replay is on your screens. Well, it was almost academic there, wasn't it? Carroll actually gets himself such a huge head of steam. He comes down into the corner while the Friction Racing car is now up into P number 2. It will be a waiting game from here on in. I do not expect Carroll to necessarily just draft past Uranor Lampe. At this stage, we know little bit of mind games like to come into play. At that point, expect Carroll to just sit there, not necessarily do anything. Figure out what Noah Lampe's up to, figure out where he's weak, and use it to his advantage later on in the race. Out of view and sound they come, up the hill they work themselves then. This will be the conclusion of lap number 5, so pretty much 1/4 race distance will be score complete by the time they get themselves out of the curve of the hole. Down your pack, 2 teammates scrapping it out. Here's Matt Defoe along board of him, 218 car, Kepa Garcia alongside him. No, not just yet, but side by side for the race lead. Graham Carroll will move himself to the front of the field. Well, there you can see there, Graham Carroll is looking to the outside. And will he get the position done? He's going to be side by side. The two almost make contact. No, Carroll will have to fall back in line there. That was a risky moment, and it's cost Carroll 0.8 of a second. We'll get ourselves a replay of that one immediately for you. The reason why, this could well be another controversial call. We're going to play it from this point. They are side by side in towards turn number 1. Here you can see Graham Carroll is on the outside. There you can see the 316 car of Noah Lampe. Now, Noah Lampe is actually falling down in towards P number 4 already. Noah Lampe, John 316 side of his car, pushing into the side of Carroll once. They make contact again. Noah Lampe's got damage to his race car right now. And in fact, I do believe that Noah Lampe is out of this event. Let's figure out where Noah Lampe is, because I cannot see him on my timing and scoring screens right now. Bear with me one moment. There you can see him. He has fallen well down the pack. So let's have a look then on board of him and figure out what happened. Oh, look at that. That car's toast. That car is actual toast. All it needs is a little bit of marmalade, and that is a perfect breakfast. That car pretty much out of the event for as far as we are concerned right now. Noah Lampe, that 396 car, is severely wounded. We have a look on board of him again. This is the exit of Yuan Tao. He just cannot put the power down. He's losing positions left, right and centre. But Noah Lampe there making contact. And it's not been the first time we've seen battles with contact. We have got side by side for the lead again. This is the Steve Audax Motorsports versus Friction Racing. Graham Carroll, aerial coverage today, brought to you by And1 Design. In towards turn number 1 they come. And the winner this time, well, that's going to be Graham Carroll, as this is going to be a wonderful shot once he gets behind the grandstand. There we are. You can see the elevation change even there, down into the centre S, but it is now Graham Carroll who leads this race by about half a second over Francisco Esteve, number 25 car, ahead of the number 58. But let's see whether or not Esteve is going to try and pass back down in towards turn number 4. No, he's not. He was close. Wasn't close enough, though. He decided to stay in line for the time being. So that was an interesting move there by Steve. The Audax Motorsports car clearly had the pace, as we're just going to turn our... There we are. As well, they come down in towards Ferradura. And, well, Carroll sideways there into Ferradura. That's not what you want to do. One of the fastest corners. That will completely destroy your tyres. Behind, Stefani scrapping it out right now. This is with Garcia as they do work themselves up the hill. And look at Stefani. He wants to get back in this battle right now. Of course, he started this race, well, up in P number 2. He has fallen down the order 5 places from where he started. And Stefani is really hoping now that things go his way over the next about 5 laps once that pit stop sequence commences. Behind, we've got a trained. We've got trained and then a gap and then a train. I'll explain this one to you. You've got your top 2 drivers separated by nothing. But the lap is running and cleaner, as is Felipe Labor, as is one Jose Sanchez. But then, you've got yourself Brian Down in a pack with Kevin Garcia, David Stefani, Matt Defoe, Frank Winter, Alan Piercy, Johan Kalshin, Paul Malukas, David Grunhill, Andre DeVerd, and Joey Miller. If you want to see how big this pack is, we'll just zoom this camera out, and you can see, there we are, they are pretty much nose to tail right now. The draft is so high, and of course the humidity at this racetrack is so high as well, that it means that you kind of use fuel differently, use the draft differently. That's what you do at most racetracks here on the iRacing.com surface. But Joey Miller, right now, down in P16, is the last driver in this pack. And you can see the gap between him and David Subran, who ends himself in P17, is currently 3.1 seconds. Carroll isn't out of the woods there. There we can see, we just turn our attention back to him, and he's got himself a little bit of damage, actually. I wonder if we're going to try and find a way of showing this one to you if you haven't yet caught it. But Graham Carroll has got himself some rather substantive damage, actually, to the left side pod of his car. So we're going to see if we can show this one to you. And there, indeed, you can see, I'm just going to try and highlight it for you right about now. There, on the race car, that car is completely torn up, and that is going to affect his straight line speed. Now, he will get some repairs done during his pit stop, but Graham Carroll is in a little bit of danger right now. Shout out to Max Faylor. He says, what's up? Hey, it's Sunday night. That means it's Sunday night skippies. Juan Jose Sanchez battling it out with Brian Dow for P5, P6. Through Yunsal they come. We ride along board with Sanchez as they work themselves up the hill. About that pit window being open, it's officially open. Let's see, is anyone going to come in? Carroll is going to move himself back to the race lead. He did lose it for a moment as Stevie was your race leader, but there you can see the Interlagos Motorsports car is leading the way here. Now, he's not officially led a lap. Carroll has led 4 laps here today, as we have got drivers on pit road. You've got yourself Brooks Layette, who traditionally does seem to come in a little bit earlier. Canadian driver, number 39, on towards pit road. So he starts our pit stop sequence along with Paul Malocas and Catholic Pie. No strangers to the early pits here. They're looking for clean air. They're looking for the ability to go out and run some laps. But there you can see, Layette is out and away. Pit stop time 11.4. Malocas is out and away in 14.5. Slow stop by him. Catholic Pie, 12.6 second pit stop. I want to show you this. This is close. This is 2 teammates versus Interlagos Motorsports. Brian Dow, Kipper Garcia, Frank Winter, pretty much side by side through Ferradura behind. You get yourself Greg Colgan, Alan Piercy, David Grunhill running themselves almost nose to tail down to the inside. Thinks the 808 car of Alan Piercy trying to move himself back to the field after what was a tough first 5 laps, losing himself so many positions, down 6 spots from where he started. And when you get a good starting position in this series, you want to try and keep it. That is not what has happened to that driver of Alan Piercy, unfortunately, here today. Just going to have a look, though, down the field. And let's see, where are your race leaders? Well, if Steve is working himself, he might actually officially lead this lap. Graham Carroll is right behind him, staying in line. Will either of them coming towards pit road? As you can see, one driver hovering, thinking, looking. No, they'll go side by side towards start-finish line. The leader of this lap is going to be Graham Carroll there by 17.43 1,000ths of a second. Last lap, it was 17 1,000ths of a second. Bear these numbers in mind. Get your photo finish cameras ready, because at that point, we know at the end of lap number 21, something interesting is going to happen. We've got more drivers on pit road. Jerome Hag is on pit road. We get the pit stop time for him. We've also got Jeremy Milley, Arjun Deverde, Juan Jose Sanchez, and Alan Piercy all on pit road. We'll start with Piercy. He's the closest one to the start-finish line. So let's have a look then. You can see one driver is out and away already. Alan Piercy, 11.5 seconds. Sanchez, 11.9. Arjun Deverde, 12.9. Joey Miller, 11.9. Paul Malocas, a slow stop. We talked about that earlier. That is going to cost him. You'll see the reason why. He's working himself right now on the exit of turn number 2 through the curve of the Sol. These cars haven't got the raw speed that you see in things like the Grand Prix series, and it does mean that it'll be side by side. He will get past the Duff B number 23 car of Joey Miller. He won't get himself, though, past Arjun Deverde, the number 34 car, into turn number 4. So it did hurt Paul Malocas just a little bit. So we can see, we'll turn our attention back to the race leaders. We'll be halfway by the time the drivers come through Ferradura the next time by. So, through Yunsal they come. Go on board with Francesco and Steve. Will he try and go for the race lead? Will he come on pit road? Will Graham Carroll come on pit road? Anything can happen at this stage of the race. And, well, for Stevie, he just wants to make sure he can outsmart his opponent. He knows that Graham Carroll can go toe-to-toe with him. Arguably, Carroll can go a little bit better, it seems, in a straight line. Steve has not been able to do that. Down in towards turn number 1. It's another lap led there for Graham Carroll. Steve does not want to make that pass down to the inside. He wants to play the mind games in towards that first corner. Third place right now is Bart Delat. And here's the thing. He's 2 seconds behind Francesco Steve. So this is potentially part of the issue. If Steve battles it out with Graham Carroll, we're going to be caught. Simple as that. Last lap time there for Delat, a 150.019. Last lap time from Francesco Stevie, a 149.890 with a draft. That means that if Delat can actually get himself a second or so with people battling, he'll be there in the mix, and we know how good Bart Delat can be. Philippe Bert is also potentially going to be there in the mix as well, if he can nail his pit stop, and we know that he's been touchy at times as far as his pit stop goes. We have got more drivers on pit road. In fact, we've got one driver out of the race. That's a shame. That is Frederick Johansson. Let's see if we can figure out what happened to him. Replay potentially coming up on your screen. Well, this is coming out of pit road there, the driver of Frederick Johansson. But it does look as though he is now out of the event. He had himself a moment. We've also got Gavin Keeney also out of the race. He's had himself a tow back towards... Oh! There's the incident. This was... I always worry about this at Interlagos. I always worry about this, and it's very rare that we see it. But what has happened is that Frederick Johansson has caught a white line, evidently, coming out of pit road, spun the back end of that car around. There you can see back end, whoa, Johansson out of the race. Now, it's not often you see that, but it is a real possibility that it can happen. Looking on board with Fabio Subran, P number 10, as we have got Carroll still on the racetrack, Steve still on the racetrack, Lat still on the racetrack, so no one is on pit road, but Fabio Subran is, as he now comes down into the pit. 70 kilometers an hour. It's such a slow pit road here. It is almost walking pace as he comes down on towards pit road. And anyone who used to know Top Gear will know that what they used to, when James May talked about the Bugatti Veyron going around that VW test ring, he said that it literally going down to 60 kilometers an hour, he didn't realize that the car was still going. He thought he was okay to get out. Of course, he didn't roll out of an open car. Subaru, well, he's going to get back up to racing speed here. But going down to pit road speed, it's so slow and it's so easy to make mistakes. Subaru will come out pretty much alongside Joey Miller. Miller will just be ahead of him as they work themselves down onto the back straight. In fact, Miller is going to go side by side with Paul Malocas. No, he won't actually. Miller's there in the Duff Beer car. We've got Malocas going side by side with Arjun Deverd in towards turn number 4 and 5. They will come once again. Here's Carroll. Here's a Steve. Here's a look from the rear of Graham Carroll. And here is the Stevie. Just 0.3 of a second behind him. Out of Yunsao, in towards turn number 14, which essentially a corner means to be the boxes. A corner can turn the boxes. I know that's where the toilets are. And then you've got turn number 15, the corner I'm not going to pronounce is in towards pit road comes Carroll. No! Carroll dummying there as Steve goes onto pit road. Carroll, what a brilliant dummy there. He just tried to outmax the driver of Francesco Steve, and he does it absolutely perfectly. Let's get ourselves another look at that one as Stevie is on pit road. But let's get another look on board from the front there of Graham Carroll. He has done this perfectly here. Absolutely perfectly. So here we are then. In fact, we'll get some more aerial coverage if we can. So you'll see at this point, we'll just zoom in. We're going to have to change camera angle a couple of times. So here you can see, at this point, Graham Carroll coming on towards pit road. Now, you can use that part of the racetrack. And then Carroll, right at the last moment, ducks across the... Now, that might be an interesting one to bring up the race stewards after this race, because he did do it after the chevron line started. But Graham Carroll, he's still in the lead of this race. Steve has made himself a pit stop. It was 11.1 seconds. He is back out onto the racetrack. Is Stevie down at P number 8, importantly, ahead of every other driver who is pitted. As far as every other driver, he's 10 seconds ahead of one Jose Sanchez. That is an incredible fight right now. Of course, Sanchez, there you can see him right now heading himself in towards Ferradura. We are past the halfway point of this race, but He's about 10 seconds now ahead of his own teammate. They can see number 48 car. We'll just keep an eye out now onto the car of Graham Carroll. How far can he go in this race? I said the pit window was lap number 8 through 15. Well, I think like potentially Graham Carroll is going to stretch it as long as he can. Will he come on towards pit road this time by bar the lap? Philippe Burr, Brian Dow have yet to pit as well. Graham Carroll is going to come on pit road this time by. Robin Keeney was involved in an incident, we believe, with Dave Stefani. We'll try and find that one out for you after the event. But Graham Carroll in towards his pit box then. Well, this is going to have to be picture perfect for him. You can see also Bart Delat on towards pit road. Bart Delat, technically, by virtue of having the further pit stop, is classified as your race leader. Stefani on pit road. You got yourself pretty much everyone on pit road now who hasn't pitted. The only person who has... Is that Stevie ahead? Stevie's ahead of the entire field right now. Stevie looks as though he's going to storm himself to victory here. Here's Graham Carroll. Graham Carroll's nowhere to be seen right now. As he comes out the inside of curve of the Soul, Graham Carroll, pit stop time for him, 15 seconds, 4 seconds slower than Francesco Stevie, 2.3 seconds back. This is Stevie's race to lose right now, and Philippe Burr moved himself up into 3rd place, and then behind is Sanchez, then Defoe, then Stefani, then Grunhill, Piercy, Caldron and Dole round out your top 10. But ladies and gentlemen, leading the way, Francesco Stevie in the number 58 machine. You know what? Sunday Night Skippies is always interesting because you never ever understand what is about to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, our onboard coverage here today is brought to you by the iRacing Forum app for Android. And if you like Sunday Night Skippies, don't forget, you get yourself a double dosage. Because tomorrow night, we do it all over again for the Club UK and Ireland Skip Barber Racing School Series. That'll be here on RaceSpotTV. Start time 8 PM GMT. We get the best drivers from Club UK and Ireland doing battle on this racetrack. Interlagos. 2 nights of Skippies, Sunday night and Monday night, and the world's greatest sim racing broadcaster, that is RaceSpotTV. Well, there is Steve, and here's what I want to look at. You can see that you cut across the racetrack normally. I don't think that that was in fair spirit necessarily for Carroll. I think he deliberately dummied Stevie on towards pit road. We'll have to have a look after the race, because that might come against the spirit of the regulations here. Carroll in towards the centre S right now. We're right on board of him, ladies and gentlemen, as we will take you for just one moment. RaceSpotTV side by side. We'll be right back.
For iRacing to get Le Mans is huge. I mean, this is a unique event, a unique track where, you know, half of the track is public road, so you can never test on it, you never get experience on it, and it's 8 miles in length, 4-minute lap time in a GT car. So, you know, even if you're here for an hour of testing, that's only 15 laps, and you're only going to see the corner 15 times that day. The first section going through the Dunlop area is pretty unique. You know, it's got elevation change and off camber. Then you go down Mulsanne into the chicanes, and you know, the straights are unbelievably long. It's a tricky track, and you know, every year I've come here, this is being my 4th year, you learn something new every time.
We've wanted to add Le Mans to iRacing for a long time, and we've really been working hard towards it for the last 5 years. But really, things only came together in the last week leading up to this race, so it was a real scramble to put everything together. The majority of Le Mans is public roads. So when they're preparing for the 24-hour race, it's really the only time that we can visit to laser scan and photograph the track so that we can recreate it in iRacing. We work closely with the ACO to get essentially exclusive access to the facility and everything that we needed to get the laser scanning and photographic reference that we need to create the track. We were very fortunate to be at Le Mans at the most important time of the year. and gain that experience of being there. And we're going to really do the best we can to put that into our work and making sure that the Le Mans in iRacing is the best Le Mans, the most exciting and accurate recreation of the track possible.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Sunday Night Skippies here on RaceSpotTV. There you can see Graham Carroll. He is trying to close that gap. Last time by, 1/7 of a second slower, as he was previously on a second faster than the guy that you can now see on your screen. That one, Francesco Stevens. There you can see a look from the rear of him right now. The number 58 car, the gap is currently 1.5 seconds. Here's the issue: 5 laps remaining. All it takes is Carroll to be 1/7 of a second faster lap on lap, and this game could be back on. So if Stevie's going to have to push, this is going to be an interesting finish tonight today. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget the Skip Barber 2K World Cup is every single week here on RaceSpotTV, the official home for Sunday Night Skippies and Monday Night Skippies. Next week, we head ourselves over, well, the track that's called Summit Point. It's the shortest track we see all season. And then we go to the longest track, which is Spa-Francorchamps. Then after that, we go down under. We go to Oran Park. After that, we go ourselves fly around the championship at Monza. And if you saw Monza last time out, you will know just how crazy racing will be once you go to the Italian god that we know as the Autodromo di Monza. Let's have a look down the field. Who we can see on board now? Brian Dow battling out, Alan Piercy, P8, P9 on the racetrack, and well, Dow is looking for a way past. You don't play the mind games as much now. Pit stops are over. You go flat out into all of the braking zones and all of the apexes. Dow battling it out with Piercy, down towards turn 1 they come. There you can see the speed chart. This is an interesting one. Let's see, will he stay in line? No, he's going to go to the outside immediately there. So Brian Dow wants no part of this fun and games over. Let's leave it to the last lap of the race. Dow in towards P number 8. No, he won't. He'll stay in line for the time being, but he'll use the outside line. He'll then give himself the draft he needs back through the curve of the soul. And there we can see Dow will now get himself a good run. He's almost going to bump draft his competition here, Alan Piercy. Down the back straightaway, you can see that all the way down on pit road exit. And again, I'm interested to see what race control will do after this event, to see whether or not they give some infractions out for this one. But Dahl looking to the outside now as they come on the exit of Interlagos into Ferradura. Dahl doesn't quite have the line, but you can see the 808 car Piercy not going to risk it. Dahl on the inside line into Ferradura, and that means they're going to go too wide into one of the greatest corners in all of motorsports. And then it'll be Dow who will move himself up into P number 8. Let's not say the battles down your pack aren't interesting, because they always are. And you know, Colgan right now is battling it out. You've got also Fable Superman doing exactly the same thing with Carpet Pie, two of the most well-known drivers in this series. And there you can see from rear Fable Superman, Carpet Pie to his left, and the 39 car, Brooks Dyett to his right-hand side right now. And well, Superman's going to lose the position actually. He's going to lose one. He might also lose a second. There you can see inside, they got Subban alongside of him right now, and just got the number 39 machine, Brooks Layette, just behind, in towards Yunsao they come, and Catholic Pies in the bush very, very wide. Subban pushing very wide out the corner. The Oculus Rift dots up car there, very lucky not to make huge contact. They were themselves down towards the start finish line. Brooks Layette there was very lucky not to have his car torn apart. Number 24 machine of Fabot Subban now to the outside of that number 9 car of Catholic Pie, in towards turn 1 they come. Yes, this is down the field, but oh, this is a good battle. 3 laps to go. 1, 2, 3 wide. Winner, Catholic Pie. No, Brooks Layette was going to win that battle. Round the outside, round the outside, round the outside. He takes one driver, but then overshoots the corner. And now we go back on board with Fabot Subban, and you'll see that Layette is back at the rear of that pack. For a moment, number 39 car pretty much had it made. He's your race leader, Francesco Estivi. 1 second, the gap between himself and Graham Carroll. Carroll, last time by, 1:49.435, which is faster than the fastest lap Estivi has done all race long. Estivi, there you can see the gap. It is hovering at 0.8 of a second. Behind Steve is Graham Carroll. Behind Carroll is Felipe Barber. Now, if you're Carroll, you know you can lose 3 seconds in one lap if you try and go side by side the entire way around this racetrack. You leave it till the last lap. To quote a Warhammer quote, you strike hard, you strike fast, you strike first. That doesn't apply here. You're the one that wants to strike last. You'll be the last person to hit, because if you do that, well, you'll be heading yourself down the straightaway towards the start finish line, which is here, and you might well win the race. And again, this race will not start until they head themselves out of Yunsao on the final lap. Miguelo means nothing, because the Pato means nothing. It won't be until they head themselves out of Yunsao, down through some the boxes, into turn number 15, that this race really is on. And that gap out front, well, it's still less than a second. It's actually down now to 0.7 of a second. We've got 3 wide going on actually down in your pack. Let's have a look at this. This is huge. This is wild going on right now. 2 wide, 3 wide. Let's go look for our aerial coverage. There you are. They settle themselves down. Interesting point here. You've got 3 teammates. We'll just zoom in. There you are. You've got 3 teammates batting it out. But here ahead, you've got number 6 machine, Frank Winter, batting out of Brian Dowell as they work themselves down in towards turn number 4. Winning this battle, well, that's going to be that guy, the number 6 machine of Frank Winter, moves himself ahead there of Brian Dowell, but not for long. Dowell all the way down to the curb, in towards Ferradura they come. Let's just zoom this one out and try and show you here. Well, they'll be side by side once again. We'll just change our camera angle. They can see. Yeah, Dowell's going to win this one. No, Dowell's going to lose this one even. Behind, you've got Arjun Deferred. You've got 14 drivers separated in a row now. This is where things get really, really difficult, because you can see at the rear of this train, Jerome Hag in the number 214 car. Well, we talked about Jerome, of course, earlier on in this race. He's up 15 places from where he started. He started at the very rear of the field. 217 car alongside him of Johan Karjian. Well, they are scrapping it out. They are close, but once they catch up to these drivers, it's going to be a hindrance and also a benefit to have 4 drivers running pretty much nose to tail from the same team. Only way you can tell the difference is by the wheel hubs. Yeah, it's as crazy as that. As here we come, Carroll to the outside, down towards turn number 1. They come, center S, Graham Carroll looking for the race lead right now. He will have the run in towards curve to solve. They almost touched there. Carroll almost in his second incident of the day, but he will fall into line. Final lap of the race here. White flag is out, and Carroll is on the move. We could well be side by side for the entire lap. Graham Carroll down to the inside to say the Lego. It's not over. It's not over. Not over. Not over yet, because Carroll still has himself 2/3 of this lap to go. Well, Steve's behind him in towards Ferradura, but maybe now Steve is in the catbird seat as they come through Ferradura. Turn number 6 into Longinia. Turn 7 now. Slowing it down in towards 8 before Piñera, turn number 9. This is a slow section. Nothing will happen here. second they get out of Yun Sao, remember what I said. Sector 3 here will be the difference maker. And Stevie is right there. He is right there in the mix. This race is not over. It's not even started yet. Here they come then. Down through Michello for the final time. On board with Francesco Steve as they work himself in towards Yun Sao. Last lap of the race. Set your photo finish cameras. Turn 13, left-hand flick. I'm not sure. It wasn't a good run there by Steve. We'll get the speed charts up. I don't know. Has he got the chance to get past Graham Carroll? In towards 14, they come for the final time. Toward the start-finish line. Anything can happen from here on in, ladies and gentlemen. The winner of this race, photo finish, is upon us. The winner will be Francesco Estivi. We think Graham Carroll is showing, as your race leader there, is showing that Carroll is your winner. Stevie is looking as though it will show up in second place. We'll get confirmation. We think it's going to be 11 1,000ths of a second. Graham Carroll is going to win here today. There is Graham Carroll Friction Racing. Here is a look then, one more time to show you what happened in the final moments of this race. We'll ride it along board with Graham Carroll. Gonna have to slow this one down at some point as well, because this is where things get really interesting. I always say at this racetrack you have to be ready for a photo finish. You've got one here today. Anyone who remembers Scott Dixon and Elio Castroneves will know that sometimes it comes down to, did he put the transponder the right way round? Let's slow it down. Graham Carroll towards the start finish line. He wins the race. We think, no, Stevie must win it, unless that's the start finish line they've just gone past already. I think that might well be the case. We'll rewind our tape and we'll show it to you again. First of all, the result. The top 10 is showing Graham Carroll by 9 1,000ths of a second ahead of Francesco Estivi. So Carroll will win here today. Estivi in second, Felipe Barber in third, Juan Jose Sanchez in fourth, Matt Defoe in P number 5. Then P6, David Stefani, Anna Piercy in 7th, Frank Winter in 8th, Archie DeVerde in 9th. Running at your top 10 is Brian Dow. But let's get ourselves then a final look on board with Graham Carroll. We've got to figure out where the start-finish line is. And of course, the finish line is before the start line here. If it was at the start line, well, Stevie would have had this race won. But let's then have a look on board. And we'll just turn my camera around, because at this point, they're pretty much getting ready to go side by side. Here's a Stevie. We'll slow it all the way down. This start-finish line, I think, is pretty much where you see that gantry. And we'll be able to see this one on board there. We'll just have a look, and oh, this is how close it is. This is exactly how close it is, ladies and gentlemen. Stevie, there is the line, and at that point, Stevie was just behind. Graham Carroll is your winner here today. Round number 7 on the Skip Barber 2K World Cup. Carroll wins the race, but not by much. By 9 1,000ths of a second. It will still be a W, though, and that is all that matters. Matt Defoe and Felipe Barber are joining us here now on RaceSpotTV. I'll start with you, Felipe Barber. What a race it's been for you, though. It's been kind of boring, the entire event.
Well, it wasn't boring the first few laps. It was very crazy. I think everybody was on ecstasy or something, because I've never seen anything like that in the first few laps of a 2K race. It was just, well, crazy. I have no other word for it.
Pit stops were the critical point here today, and of course your pit stop 12.6 seconds, a little bit slow compared to your rivals, but you got out in front. But then you spent the entire second part of the race pretty much running in no man's land. Were you just looking in, trying to figure out if Carroll and Steve were going to go side by side before the final lap?
I was hoping for that, but he was catching him very, very slowly, and I could see that it would be in the last 2 laps or so. So I only could hope that one of them or both of them would run out of fuel. But yeah, well, I'm pretty happy with third, considering I started 8th, because I messed up my second qualifying lap, which had an off track and was good enough for pole. So it would have been a totally different race then.
Well, Talk about qualifying. We saw a lot of people being very slow out of pit road. What was the tyre wear like, as far and the fuel consumption like, as far as this racetrack went? Because we saw people going a lot slower on qualifying than you normally see people on their outlaps.
I don't know, but this track punishes cold tires a lot. I don't know why. It must be something with surface, or I don't know, temperature. I don't know. It's certainly the case that on cold tires you're about like a half a second or more slower than normal pace.
Well, next time out, we go from one tricky track to the smallest racetrack in the series, Summit Point, round number 9. What do you think's going to happen then?
I don't know, because I won't be there. I'm on vacation.
Well, where are you going on vacation?
I'm going to New Orleans.
Very nice. Don't go to NOLA because of the fact that there's still some dispute going on, but enjoy your vacation. Philippe Labour coming home in 3rd place here today. We've got Matt Defoe here as well, and Defoe, well, it's been a 4th place finish for you here today. Are you satisfied with that?
4th or 5th.
4th or 5th. It's one of those. So I'll tell you what. We'll get the results out because it was that close. We'll get the results out and we'll actually give you the final confirmation results here. And no, it shows you 5th. 5th.
That's what I thought, and I'm very happy with that. I had my best qualifying ever. I didn't have a great start, but I kept pushing, and yeah, it was a great race.
You talk about having the best qualifying ever, and it's not the first person we've seen or heard say that. What is the difference between this track and other tracks in terms of getting that qualifying lap picture perfect?
To be honest, I'm not sure, because this is a long lap time, and you would expect the spread to be quite large between the top guys, but it was very close, and I think I just absolutely nailed my lap, and it put me up there further than I'm used to.
Well, you got yourself P number 4, which in itself has been an incredible accomplishment for you, but how tough has the racing been for you here at this racetrack?
It's very tough. Even when you're not racing somebody, you're just trying to maintain gaps, and lap after lap, putting in the same times. It's exhausting, really, but it's a lot of fun.
As far as the championship goes, we know that you're not on the hunt for the overall championship, but when we head into Summit Point in 1 week's time, one of the, I'm going to say, scarier racetracks, because you've got the opportunity to pass into turn 1, if you're brave into turn 3, and then nowhere else for the rest of the lap. How do you think that race is going to be, and how worried are you about being in the mid-pack in a week's time?
Mid-pack at Summit Point it's tough to move forward, but it's a lot of fun there as well. And I'm not in the hunt right now, but if I make every week, I'll be right up there with 8 out of 8 weeks. So I'm hoping to place well overall. And for Summit Point, it's just going to be similar to this. I got to nail qualifying and then just put in the laps.
Well, thank you very much for talking to us. That is Matt Defoe coming home in P5 here today. Here's a look on board for the final lap of this event. And there you can see on board with the driver who came home in 2nd place, Francesco Steve. This was pretty much nose to tail for the entire final lap of this race event. So what we're going to do, ladies and gentlemen, before we go off air, to show you some of the incredible moments of this final lap of the event. They sometimes say, what a difference a second makes. Well, that's what we had here today. Look at how close it was between Stevie and Carroll coming towards the start-finish line. And there you can see Steve looks to the outside. Final corner of the final lap. Not quite able to get there. Graham Carroll claims victory. And it is literally by that much, ladies and gentlemen. 0.009 seconds after what has been an incredible race here today. And, well, that is, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, all we pretty much have time for. We're going to show you one more final look at that in ultra super slow mode because we can. But what an incredible event it has been here today at this racetrack, which is, of course, Interlagos. And there we can see, down towards the start-finish line, nothing there at all. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a RaceSpotTV presentation. Let's get ourselves then the ultra super slow-mo replay up on your screens. And let's show you what happened in the final moment of today's event. What an incredible event it's been here at Interlagos. Next time out, we will head ourselves over to the track known as Summit Point Raceway. The shortest racetrack of the year plays host to the next round of the championship. You'll catch that one here on RaceSpotTV as we head ourselves deep into August and deep into another championship. Don't forget, for more information about RaceSpotTV, head over to our website, subscribe to us on YouTube and like us on Facebook. For myself, Will Vincent, we shall talk to you all next time. Bye-bye.